What is up, guys? Top tier Yu-Gi-Oh here, and today I've got another updated Sky Striker deck profile and discussion video. This is going to be for the post Maze of Muertos and post Legendary Modern decks format for like March 2026. So we do have the new Sky Striker links and imports. You've got Camellia and all the other ones. We're going to talk all about them and how they affect Sky Strikers, as well as the meta overall and some other changes to the format and what we can do to prepare for this format, and hopefully we can all figure out this format together and have some success. So let's go ahead and get into it. First, you guys definitely need to pick up the modern deck. It's really good, a great value. And real quick, I'm gonna show you guys everything that's in. I'm just gonna fan through the deck because I do think it's actually a really good value. Then I'll get into like my actual profile. But this is what you get with the deck. You get, let's see, you got linkage, Hornet drones, basically everything that you need to actually play the deck. You get upstarts, all the staples, get your widow anchors, lightning storms, talent, thrust, all the extra deck stuff. You get all of this with just one deck, and then you also get the extra deck as well, the new extra deck stuff. This was extra, but you do get Camellia and all of them, like an ultra rare version, Amatsu, Engage Zero, Spectra. We're gonna talk about all this later. You get a few other secrets as well with the other decks, but this is what you get for Sky Strikers. It's a great value, and if you're new to the deck or thinking about playing it, you 10,000% should pick up the Legendary Modern Decks collection. That's enough of this non-sponsored ad. Let's go ahead and get into what I've been playing, or what I'm going to be playing moving forward for pure Sky Strikers. So starting with the main deck, not a lot of, well, there are some big changes, but not a lot of changes here. We're gonna start with the engine, of course. We've got 3 Engage, 3 Linkage, 3 Ray, Rose, Rhoda, Hornet drones, Area 0, which we talked a lot about in the last video, and multi-roll. Multi-roll I do think could be cut, just due to the number of Fallen, the Virtuous, and MSTs being played with Radiant Typhoon. I do like it a lot because it does force your opponent to deal with it, but decks do have the ability to deal with it. Draco Tail can use Urgula. Like, a lot of decks just have outs to it. Yummy doesn't, but a lot of decks do. But even if they do out it on their turn, you going first with it will still get you some value. And it does help you play around Droll, and Droll's gonna be much bigger this format, I think. I think leading up to this, Droll wasn't really everywhere because Draco Tail was the, like, by far meta-defining deck. But now with Yummy and the Dark Magician decks being more relevant and prevalent, we're going to see more Droll and Lockbird, which is going to be a big issue for us. Sure, it's at 2, but multi-rule allows us to play around it. And sort of the way that works is that you have to activate Droll in the resolution window of a card that adds something from deck to hand, right? But because you're going to be turn player, you have priority to activate things in that chain. And then if you have multi-role active, your opponent cannot chain to your effects, which means they cannot activate Droll in that window, and they lose the chance to activate it, which would then allow you to continue on your turn. So let's say, for example, just make up a situation. Let's say we have, not Widow Anchor because that's too specific. Vision, yeah, there we go. And Engage. So let's say we have this. We'll just make up a whole hand, actually. Okay, this is the hand, right? And the opponent may or may not have Droll. Hey guys, quick edit because I want to make sure to explain this properly, because Droll is going to see more play in this upcoming format, and it's going to be very important for us to know how to play around it with multi-roll in particular. And so I'm going to show you guys how we can play around Droll with the hand that I just sort of clumsily threw together like 10 seconds ago. But let's go ahead and get into this explanation. And so once again, the way that multi-roll works is that once it resolves, your opponent cannot chain cards or effects to your spell card activations. And Droll and Lockbird must specifically be activated during the resolution window of a card that is added, the resolution window of a card being added from your deck to your hand, right? And when a card resolves, the way it works is that trigger effects, you get the opportunity to activate trigger effects, turn player, and then your opponent. Then quick effects, turn player, then your opponent. So turn player always has priority. And so at the resolution of a card being added to your hand, because turn player has priority, you can activate your spell card, but then your opponent cannot chain to it because of multi-roll. Because of that, your opponent misses the opportunity to activate their Droll and Lockbird. And I'm gonna show you exactly how that works right now with this hand. Let's go ahead and get into it. So obviously we do have Radiant Typhoon Vision in hand. That does make things a little bit easier and a little more convenient because you can activate Radiant Typhoon Visions in the draw phase to draw and discard before your opponent even gets a chance to draw, because you can draw in the draw phase, or you can wait until later and chain the vision to your opponent's Droll and Lockbird if they have it, of course, and then you can just draw like that. And sometimes that's better if you don't want to discard what you have in hand. Like if, let's say, you have a Fallen the Virtuous or a Droplets and you're going second, you may not want to discard that if that's your only discard option for the visions. It might be more advantageous for you to wait later. So it sort of just depends on your hand. But in this one in particular, going first, blind, the opponent may or may not have Droll. This is what I would do. I would just, in the draw phase, activate the visions, draw 2, just use blanks, and then discard the Widow Anchor, right? Cool. So now we've got 2 blanks, Widow Anchor, engage, and multi-roll. Next, what we could do is activate our multi-roll because we want to get that live as soon as possible, of course. Set the Widow Anchor, and then multi-roll, send the Widow Anchor. Boom. So now we have 3 spells in graveyard and multi-roll is active. Now let's get to the fun part. So here we can activate our engage, and we can search for a copy of, like, we want to be able to start our plays, so either Hornet Drones or Linkage work, but let's go ahead and do this with a Hornet Drones. So we'll search for Hornet Drones, and then because we have 3 spells engraved, let's draw, right? So we've got 3 unknowns Hornet Drones, and now at the resolution of the engage, so trigger effects. Does turn player have trigger effects? No. Does the opponent have trigger effects? Probably not. Quick effects. Does turn player have a quick effect? Yes. And we do not want to pass priority back to the opponent here because then they could Droll us. So we want to take the opportunity in this window to activate our quick effects. So we'll activate Hornet Drones. The opponent cannot chain to the Hornet Drones because of the multi-roll. So now the Hornet Drones will resolve, summoning out our Sky Striker Ace token. Now we are at the resolution of Hornet Drones, not the resolution of the engage. And so the opponent would be unable to activate Droll and Lockbird here. See how that works? Now we can link away the Hornet Drones, go into Kagari. We move everything down a little bit. Go into Kagari effect, add back, engage the hand. Cool, right? Link off the Kagari into Akaina. Now we can activate engage again. Engage, we can go for linkage so we can keep leveling up our plays. Get another draw, boom. And then we gain 100. And now with the resolution of this, we have, so at the resolution of this engage, same thing. Almost blanked out for a second. So trigger effects for us, no. Trigger effects for the opponent, probably not. Quick effects for us, yes. We'll activate our linkage. So here we're gonna activate linkage. The opponent can't chain to it. So now the chain will resolve. We're gonna send away the Kaina, summon out our 0. And again here, we are at the resolution of linkage, not engaged. So our opponent cannot Droll us here. So now we can activate Zero's effect, add engage back from the graveyard to the hand. Can activate Droll on that. We can activate engage again. Engage can search for whatever we need, but let's say Limnus Gate, right? And then we'll get another draw. So in this hand, we have resolved 3 engages, drawn 3 cards, and 2 off of the vision. So we have resolved 3 engages, drawn 5 cards, set up our field, set up our defenses, and the opponent was not able to Droll us until the very end. And depending on what we draw, we could keep going. Like, we could keep playing around it. So these are just random things I added to the hand. I guess none of these really were, I guess we got called by, so. But regardless, this is how you can play around Droll with multi-roll and with this hand specifically. So I hope that made some sense. If not, if you guys have any questions or anything, let me know down in the comment section below. But now let's get back to the originally recorded video. Thanks. But yeah, that's multi-roll. I think you could cut it, but I do think it's questionably worth playing right now. I'm still enjoying it, but I will leave that up to you guys. And I'll talk more about Area 0 later, actually. I think I have some more to say on that. Not about Area 0 itself, but more about like the deck building in general with this deck. But to finish out the Sky Striker engine, we have 3 Widow Anchors, 2 Limnus Gate and Eagle Booster. Double Limnus Gate because I am playing Desires, but I do also just generally like 2 Limnus Gate. I think it's one of the better Sky Striker disruptions. I don't mind drawing it because drawing it means I don't have to search it. Not having to search it means I can search for follow-up or Eagle Booster instead, which is generally a pretty good trade-off. Also, having 2 copies means that I can use the graveyard effect more freely than you could otherwise, whereas when you only have 1 in grindier matchups, sometimes you don't want to use the graveyard effect because you'll lose the ability to recycle your resources late game. But with 2, you don't have to really worry about that. So especially against like Draco Tail and Radiant Typhoon, you really do like being able to grind better. Let's see, next we have for non-engine 3 copies of Fallen the Virtuous, 3 copies of Forbidden Droplets. These are both incredible cards. We can also toss in the MST at this point. All of these are ways to dodge around Flame and Mandate. So this deck just generally has good matchups into Radiant Typhoon and Draco Tail because of that. Like their main interruptions don't really, you're not afraid of them really. So those are pretty good. For deck building requirements, we've got 3 copies of Upstart, 2 Desires, and 3 Radiant Typhoon Visions. These are pretty standard. We talked about them in last week's discussion. I do want to again talk about Area 0 and Desires a little bit later. And it's not them, it's just consistency in general. So I'm going to try to remember that. And then finally, for the biggest changes to the deck, it's going to be this next section, which are more reactive cards. So I know in the last video I mentioned wanting to reduce the number of reactive cards in Sky Strikers. However, I wanted to I do think that's important, but I also wanted to lean a little bit more into it as well by playing 3 copies of Thrust again. I know I said it was like super dead before, and it does still have the potential to be dead, but with that I did add a trap into the mix, so it can be dead if your opponent doesn't hand trap you, but I do think we're going more into a hand trappier format, especially with Yummy looking to gain more traction now. Yummy has the ability to play a lot of hand traps, and I think Yummy plays hand traps, and then to deal with Yummy, people will play more hand traps. So because of that, I think Thrust will be better. And then obviously going second, it's just a god card because it can search Engage and whatever else you needed to search. So I actually really like this a lot. I did consider playing it with Imperm instead of Impulse, but yes, Imperm is better going second. Obviously it's far more usable going second, but going first, Impulse is a lot better. Impulse is just generally more powerful than Imperm, and Imperm, there's a bit of redundancy between that and Widowmaker and our ability to search Widowmaker. Like there's only so much effect negation you need. You need to sort of diversify your interruptions, and Impulse is a way that we can do that. Moving Impulse from the side deck to the main deck also created more space in the side deck to give us more flexibility in this diverse and unknown format. So I did value that a lot as well. So a lot of the main deck choices and the ratios were influenced by the side deck and the side deck patterns, which we can get into a little bit later if there is time. But we have 3 Thrust and Impulse. Then we are also playing Ash, Bell, and Crossout Designator. So these 2, Ash and Bell, are the main cards that interact with Zero. And like I've said many times, when Zero's effect gets negated by Ash or Bell, you will almost always lose the game because it means you have no monsters on board most likely, because you're going to have your main monster zone free so you can activate your Widowmakers and stuff. So you're just going to have this in the extra monster zone. If you use the effect and it gets negated, now you have nothing in the extra monster zone or your main monster zones, so you just get killed. So you cannot have that happen, and Crossout is an answer to that for one. So that helps. We do still have Caught by the Grave, which also helps that as well, but it's just adding another way to keep that from getting negated. Impulse is another card that can negate that effect, and so Crossout works with that as well. And just in general against the decks that play Impulse, such as Malice, Mitsurugi, those are the big 2, but there are others that play it as well. So it is another Crossout target too. These also are useful going second against Draco Tail because you can negate the traps. They're decent against Yummy. This can negate the tag outs. Ash can negate Cupsy Yummy way. So like they're not terrible. They're not terrible into those matchups either. So I have been liking this ratio a lot. It's not enough hand traps to really depend on for like going second, but sometimes they will come up. Sometimes it will give you things you can draw into off of your engages to sort of boost your boards a bit. but ultimately I have liked this a lot. This is now a 43 card main deck. These were the, I think before, these were like the main additions, but these are all additions in general, more or less. But it's a 43 card main deck. We are still playing the upstarts, and I'm not too worried about 43 cards because statistically, what's going to affect your ability to draw the cards you want? It's not, the greatest impact is not going to be from the number of cards in deck. Like, yes, that matters, but the most important thing is going to be the number of cards, of good cards that you have in deck that you want to draw. And so, like, for example, the odds of drawing a 3 of in a 40 card deck is about 34%. In a 43 card deck, it's 32%. So, like, only 2% is not terrible. That's a level of variance that I'm willing to accept for the ability to not lose to, like, Ash or Bell on my 0, or having more cards that I can use to deal with the trap cards and Draco Tail, or being able to thrust into it. Like, these are things I'm willing to trade off for that lack of, I don't even want to call it lack of consistency, because this deck is very, very consistent because of the number of 1-card starters we do play. And then going second, Thrust obviously makes the deck far more consistent. But that is it for the main deck. Once again, 43 cards. Also, the thing with Upstart and playing more than 40 that I like is that, again, we do need proactive cards. And, like, if you have Upstart plus Linkage, if you just have Linkage, Upstart plus Linkage is better because you can Upstart Chain Linkage and have a free card to send. And just having free cards to send with, like, Linkage, Droplets, things like that, extra spells in the graveyard, like, however many cards I wanted to play in Sky Strikers, having Upstart on top of that just makes it better. We're going to do the side deck next, and then talk about the extra deck, as well as potential changes to the extra deck with the new Link monster. So we're going to start with the side deck. For the side, I've got 2 copies of Droll and Lockbird. This is new, but it is an answer to all the new Dark Magician of Chaos decks, the new Azamina decks. Not Dark Magician of Chaos, Dark Magician of Destruction. All of just the new combo slot piles that we're seeing. This is an answer to those, as well as Luna Lights. We have another copy of Ash and Bell. We've got 2 copies of Shared Ride, 2 copies of Forbidden Crown. Those have been in the list for a while. Let's see, we've got Duster, 2 Lightning Storms, 3 DDGs, and Impulse. So this is the side deck. I am thinking about switching these 3 for 3 copies of Dark Ruler No More, because again, the Yummy hype is starting to scare me. We have a naturally good matchup into Pure Yummy. If you guys remember that, before Yummy turned into Yummy Meat to like Pure Yummy, we had a pretty good time with. But Yummy now is a bit different because of the Dark Magician of Destruction stuff. Like, if they're ending on multiple Omni Negates plus Yummy interactions, it can be kind of difficult to deal with that plus the follow-up, and Dark Ruler No More can at least shut a few of those down. Like, we can deal with interruption and interaction. It's the negation that is a problem for this deck. Like, if you can play around and play through stuff, cool. If you're just gonna be able to hard and negate, like an engage and stuff, now we got a problem. Now we need to, like, specifically deal with them. And so I do think Dark Ruler No More might be the way I go. Because against, like, Draco Tail and Radiant Typhoon, we can win without these blowouts. Like, we can just play back and forth with them and win. That's fine. Especially with more hand traps too now. But against, like, decks that are putting up Dragoon and Ilia Sylvia, these aren't going to be as useful. Different Dimension Ground is still really good, and Impulse is obviously good. Shared Ride and Crown I also would consider bumping up to 3. They're both on that level of cards I want to play at 3. Let's see. So, in terms of side patterns, real quick. Generally, when going first against, I'm trying to think of like what order I want to do this in. So if I'm going first against Draco Tail, I'm putting in these 3, and then not Bell, but Ash, and the Crown, and the Impulse. So these are all good in that matchup. Going second, I'm not putting in DDG, but I am putting in these 3, not putting in the Crown, but am putting in the Bell, not putting in the Impulse. So it's these 5. If I'm going first against Radiant Typhoon, let's see, then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then where is it? 5 and 6, and then going second into Radiant Typhoon, Droll, Ash Bell. I just realized there are way too many, like, there are too many matchups to go through what I'm signing in and out for each one. I should maybe just do like a dedicated video for that. Yeah, we'll just do a whole dedicated video for that. It's too much because I also want to show you guys what I'm siding out, but it's like a lot to go through right now, and there's more that I think is more important, especially right now with the format sort of changing. Side patterns and side deck options are a bit in flux. Oh, but the other thing I did want to mention about the side is that there's no more hard out to Lunalight. Like before I was playing Hamp or Lava Golems and stuff like that, but now I'm sort of just hoping that we now have 8 hand traps in main and side deck, and hopefully this is enough to keep us from getting FTK'd by Liger Dancers or the Spell Canceller decks. Like hopefully this is enough to get us there. I felt that with the format being so diverse, not specifically targeting anything, and being more flexible would sort of allow us to cover more well enough to not have to worry about them. Like, I think this is a good solution. It's been working well so far. I also haven't like had, you know, crazy matchups or anything out of left field, so it's been fine. But let me know what you guys think about this as well. Do you think that there's anything that is important enough to target? Like again, before I think I was playing Mutually for Destruction, or what other specific cards? I don't remember. But now if you notice, there's really no specific cards in the side deck for any specific matchup. Everything is relatively versatile. I think the most targeted thing is probably like DDG, but DDG is also good into a lot of matchups. Like almost every matchup going first, DDG is really good. Maybe you could say that. No, yeah, this is all just like really general. So yeah, I'm curious what you guys think about that. If you guys think we need to play Lunalight outs or anything else specific like Lancia. Like Malice is a tough matchup, and we have seen an uptick in Malice in the recent weeks. Do you think we're going to continue seeing Malice? Do we need to play Lancia? I don't know. Let me know though. What do you guys think about that? But moving on to the extra deck. But oh yeah, but seriously, yeah. Let me know if you guys want to see more side deck stuff. I just don't know how to allocate my time in this video versus others. So we'll see. Moving on to the extra deck, we've got 3 copies of Zero, 3 copies of Kagari, Hayate, Kaina, Shizuku, Azalea, Zeke, SP, Typhon, Albion, and Ecclesia. Like I said in the previous video, I've been playing this exact same extra deck for weeks, and in every event that I've played, every single card in the extra deck has come up and they've all been good. Even Kaina's been good. Even Kaina gaining 100 life points has been good. Kaina stopping attacks has been good. Everything is good. SP comes up, Typhon comes up, everything comes up multiple times. I do wish I could play like another Albion or another, some people are playing the other synchro that's, not synchro, the other fusion monster that searches Fallen the Virtuous, like the big one. It's got some weird name. You guys know what I'm talking about. Wait, let me find it really quick. Damn, what is that called? The dragon that devours the something? I'm not searching for that right now, but some people are playing that, so you can search your 3rd copy of Fallen the Virtuous, because as this is, you're going to play 1 Fallen the Virtuous, send this, it's going to search the 2nd one, 2nd's going to send this, but you have no way to get to the 3rd one. Some people are playing another fusion, such as another Albion or the dragon that devours whatever, to search your 3rd copy, and your 3rd copy could send this, and then you can use the graveyard effect, and so on and so forth. Just due to space, I think that this is good enough. I do also think that just due to the draw power in this deck, you don't need to search your other one. Typically, you're gonna draw it somehow. We also, so that's a card that's a card that is under consideration to be added. Yes. We also have the new Legendary Collection Link monsters to consider adding. We have Camellia, we have Amatsu, we have Engage Zero, and we have Spectra. These are all good. So we have like the fusion and 4 new links. So like 5 things to consider adding. I think the only real flex spots that we have are kinda SP Typhon and then maybe the third Zero in Kagari. Personally, I think third Zero and Kagari are necessary. If you're getting to any sort of grind game, you're going to wish you had these, and they're going to be integral if your Limnus Gate doesn't resolve, or if you can't get the Limnus Gate, then like you really need those third copies. But I do think that these are flexible-ish spots. They come up. Like, these are not free spots that you're not like getting rid of for free. You're losing something by subtracting any of them, but I do think there could be a conversation about them, and we're gonna have that conversation today. So I've talked about what Dragon Devours, whatever the thing is. We've talked about that and what that adds to the deck. Let's talk about some of the new Link monsters and what they add to the deck. Let's see, we'll go in descending order. So we'll start with Spectra. Spectra is a Link 4, and already that makes it a bit difficult. Being a Link 4 in this deck it's not easy for us to make, but effectively what it is that it is Zaylin for Sky Strikers. So if your opponent activates a card or effect at chain link 2 or higher, you can banish, let's see, is it 2 or 1? Banish 2 spells from your graveyard to negate that effect, and then destroy 1 card your opponent controls, and it is only once per turn though. But it's 3,000 attack, so 3,000 attack Omni Negate is quite good. But however, it can only negate things at chain link 2 or higher. So if your opponent activates something at chain link 1, you just can't negate it. It has to be chain link 2 or higher. So like, they activate something and then they chain something to it, or you activate something and they chain something to it, then you can negate. I like this card, it's very cool, but it is 1, difficult to summon, and 2, only negating chain link 2 or higher is a bit of a restriction that I don't think is worth the cost and specificity required to summon it. So I don't think we're going to be playing this. Combine Maneuver Engage 0. This is a really cool card because this does not require being link summoned first. By the way, I think Spectra does say must be first link summoned. So you have to link summon this first, which again is difficult. Engage 0 does not need to be first link summoned, which means it can be special summoned from the extra deck, and thus you can summon it with linkage or raise effect. And this is a cool card, I will say. It's a link 2, 1500 attack, and when it's special summoned, you can target 1 monster your opponent controls with 2500 attack or more and negate the effects. Let me just make sure it doesn't have anything else with that. Okay, any monster on the field, doesn't have to be your opponent's monster, but 2500 or more attack, negate the effects till the end of the turn. And I think the more important effect, the cooler one, is that when it attacks, at the start of the damage step, if you have both Ray and 0 in your graveyard, destroy all monsters your opponent controls. That is interesting because depending on the format, board wipes can be quite valuable. I think with Yummy gaining traction, this can be very good against Yummy, but again, it comes down to space. Like, this can be good, but will it be worth the opportunity cost of playing something else? I think the other issue with this is having access to both Ray and Rose in the graveyard, because that requires you to be able to play to a certain extent. And if you are playing at that extent, do you need the board wipe? So at the point in which you have access to both Ray and Rose, is this the best play, or something else the best play? I think that is definitely a decision that you're gonna have to make. I think this also has value in formats where there are like high attack monsters that are activating effects on your opponent's turn, that are summoned off of card effects or that have ignition effects. So for example, Arthalion. So if your opponent activates, let's say, Rahu, right? Your opponent activates Rahu and they're obviously going to summon Arthalion. Maybe they summon something else, whatever, but they activate Rahu and you have a Ray on board, or let's say linkage. You can activate your Ray or linkage, summon out your Engage 0, and then because your opponent is chain player, their triggers will be chain link 1, so it'd be Arthalion, chain link 1, you know, Pan, Urgula, whatever, Malulu, chain link 2, 2, 3, 4, however many things they fusioned with. But the highest chain link will be Engage 0, able to negate the Arthalion. So like, let's say they activate Rahu, they fuse, they're gonna have Arthalion, I don't know, Pan, Urgula, chain link 2, 3, chain link 4, Engage 0 to negate the Arthalion. So then they're not getting those resources back to their hand. that can be good. There's value in that for sure. And there are other uses in the format as well. That's just the one that sort of is top of mind for me. But I think Engage 0 definitely has value. I think the downside is that, number one, it cannot be used as link material. Wait, I'm pretty sure it can't. Yeah, can't be used as link material. So once it's on the field, similar to 0, like 0 at least clears itself off the field and gets you back to Ray and Rose. So then you can use the Ray and Rose to make more of your link monsters. This does not clear itself off of the field. So once you have it, you need a way to get it off of the board and then get back to your engine. So that's interesting. Let's see. Yeah, there's no way to get itself off the board. That can be sometimes problematic because you're gonna have to linkage it, or I don't know. You got to get rid of it somehow. And it's only 1500 attack, so it's not like a boss type monster either. And once you've used the trigger effect on summon, it's not really providing you any value on top of that in the way that 0 would. So interesting card. I think you could make an argument for it, but I don't think I'm gonna run it personally in my deck. There's an argument, but not here. We'll save Camellia for last. No, we'll start with Camellia. We'll go with Camellia. No, yeah, Amatsu. Sorry. Again, this is completely like unscripted, top of the head, just yapping about Sky Strikers and the new toys we got. So, prototype Sky Striker Ace Amatsu. This, unlike the others, is easy to summon. It's only one Sky Striker Ace monster, and it itself is a Sky Striker Ace monster, so you can use it to make your other stuff as well. You can sort of just stack it into your other Sky Striker link climb. So like Amatsu, Kagari, Hayate, Kaina, Shizuku, it's in that frame of play. So what Amatsu does is, let's see, you can only special summon it once per turn. If a monster your opponent controls with 2000 or more attack activates the effect, you can change the effect to destroy one Sky Striker Ace link monster you control. And then it has a second effect that when an attack is declared involving this specific card and a monster your opponent controls, you can destroy one Sky Striker Ace link monster and one card your opponent controls. And then, yeah, that's it. Yeah, destroy them. Yeah. Attack involving this card and another monster, your opponent's monster. Target a Sky Striker Ace link and another card on your opponent's side of the field, destroy them. Yeah. This I do think is actually really useful, just as another, it does add a little bit more utility to the deck, I think, because it does give you another form of interruption. It can be effect negation. It just depends on, again, what your opponent is playing. I think the downside is that it doesn't like stop Nibiru or cards in hand. Your opponent has to control the monster for the first effect, and then number 2 does a quick effect. And so let's go back to the example against Draco Tail. If they activate a Rahu, summon out an Arthalion, they have Chain Link 1 Arthalion, Chain Link 2 Pan Urgula, like, they've chain blocked the Arthalion, and now you cannot use this effect against it. So it is vulnerable to chain blocking, and that's sort of an issue. The other thing is that both effects will destroy a Sky Striker Ace link monster that you control, which on one hand can trigger Ray, but on the other hand means that you must have Ray in your graveyard for this to be effective. So if your opponent can remove Ray from your graveyard, or if you just didn't get to it, if let's say you started with like a linkage, or just a play that didn't get to Ray naturally, this isn't going to have as much value, and so that can be a downside as well. So it does add utility, but there are some drawbacks. There's some drawbacks for sure. I do like the second attacking effect though. Like if you're not going for game when you're attacking, this can be a useful thing to attack with. So like Hayate can be useful for, sending stuff from deck to the graveyard. This can be useful for destroying, let's say, back row when you attack. So if you're not going for game and you're not trying to OTK, it's another thing that you can attack with to sort of add advantage to the game state, more or less. So I do like Amatsu. I think personally I might consider cutting Kaina for it, or you could cut either SP or Typhon for it, but I do think this is definitely worth playing. I know in the last video I said I won't play any of the new links. This is the one that I most would consider playing, just due to, again, its flexibility, its utility. I think it's something that there is a place for in this deck. Also, being a dark monster is relevant because it means you can go into Azalea, and Azalea is very, very powerful. Whereas otherwise, we just don't have that many light and dark monsters within our extra deck, so Azalea can be difficult to make. But yeah, I like Amatsu. I think I will cut kind of for now, at least to test, because again, SP and Typhon definitely come up, especially Typhon in this current format. It's really good against Draco Tail, just like something you can do in like really simple game states just to put a big body on board. I like Amatsu though. And then finally, we have the card that everyone is talking about, Sky Striker Ace Camellia. I think Camellia sucks in pure Sky Strikers, not gonna lie. I don't think it does too much for it, but let's look at the effect. All right, so Sky Striker Ace Camellia, Dark Machine, linked to 1500 attack, just like all the others, must first be link summoned. You can only special summon Sky Striker Ace Camellia once per turn, and then once per turn, if you have 3 or less spells in your graveyard, send one Sky Striker card from deck to the graveyard, and then if it's sent to the graveyard, you can target one monster your opponent controls, special summon this card to your opponent's field, and then take control of your opponent's monster? Wait, am I tripping? If this card is sent to the graveyard, target one monster your opponent controls, special summon this card to your opponent's field, and if you do, send that targeted monster to the graveyard. Okay, yeah. That second effect almost never comes up, that's why I forgot it, because Camellia can only be summoned once per turn, so if you summon it on your turn and it gets sent to the graveyard, you cannot use this effect to summon it again. So it would have to already be on the field and then sent to the graveyard, but you're never leaving it on the field, so the second effect almost will never come up. But the first effect is the relevant one, being that if you have 3 or less spells in graveyard, send a Sky Striker a spell from your deck to the graveyard. Now, why I think this isn't very important in pure Sky Strikers is because it must first be link summoned, meaning that you cannot summon it off of Ray or off of linkage. You have to summon it like, you have to hard summon it, the normal way in which we make link monsters with 2 effect monsters. But this is a deck that only has 4 main deck monsters. and a couple of hand traps now. Okay, so 6 main deck monsters. How do we get 2 monsters on the field to even make this? And then, so, like, 4 of our monsters already give us access to engine. Why would we even need this? Like, there are just not enough situations that necessitate its use in pure Sky Strikers. Number one, I just cannot see many situations where we put multiple monsters on board naturally. And then 2, in the situations in which we do, why would we need to go for this instead of anything else? Like, why would I turn my 2 Sky Striker monsters into this instead of turning them into 0? Or into this instead of going like, I don't know, anything else? Like, I just don't see how it happens in this being useful. It just simply doesn't come up. But if you do choose to play it, it does sort of change some of the things in which you can do. So let's make a little bit of space here. I think one of the options that it does give you, and something that we see in a lot of OCG lists, is it allows you to use Pillar of the Future Cyanos. Like, I see a lot of OCG lists that play 1 copy of this. This is another starter card that you can play that's actually quite good. So, like all of the other fake Sky Striker cards, I don't know what you call them, Sky Striker support cards, like all of them, if you discard a spell card, you can special summon it. Then it has an on-field trigger effect that triggers when it's summoned, normal or special summon, to special summon specifically Sky Striker Ace Rose from your deck to the field. Is it deck or hand, or is it just deck? Special summon 1 Rose from your deck or graveyard, okay. And then it locks you into machine types. Okay, that's cool. Your entire extra deck is machine, except for SP and Typhon. Whatever, that's fine. Then it has a third effect that you can banish it from the graveyard, special summon Rose from your hand or graveyard to your side of the field. That's 3 useful effects. Cyanos is actually quite the good card. And without Camellia, we couldn't really use it because you could summon Cyanos, right? Cyanos will get you to Rose, but the problem with that is that if you look at 0 requires 2 Sky Striker Ace monsters, and Cyanos is not a Sky Striker Ace monster. So at best, what you could do is like go into your like Sky Striker Link 1s with the Rose, and then maybe use this for like, I guess you could go into like a Zeke. You could go into Zeke and then banish it, revive the Rose, and then go into 0. That way with Zeke and Rose, but that's kind of awkward. The other issue is that if this gets hand trapped or interrupted within any way, and because it summons Rose from the deck or graveyard, it can be stopped by Ash, Bell, Imperm, Veiler. If you special summon it, Mourner, like any sort of hand trap that your opponent could have interacts with this card. And if they do, you're stuck with a monster in your main monster zone. And before, we would have nothing that we can do with monsters in the main monster zone. However, with Camellia, you could like normal summon a hand trap afterwards and then go into Camellia and get access to engine. Also, where you couldn't make 0 with these two, you can make Camellia with them and get access to engage. So Camellia does make Cyanos a lot more playable than it typically is. And I do think it's something that we're going to start seeing more of in the TCG. Another thing that Camellia does is I think it makes Shark Cannon a lot more playable than it was previously. So, like I've said multiple times, I don't think Shark Cannon is worth playing. I don't think it's super valuable going first or second in a lot of matchups this format. I don't know what you do with it against Draco Tail. Like, I don't know what you do it against like Radiant Typhoon. Like, there are some things, like obviously you can like, let's say they do Urgula target 5 mana, you can like banish the 5 mana, or you can banish one of the Arthalion targets. So like they're a little, like yes, it is somewhat kind of useful. You can banish an Albion so they don't get Fallen to Virgil. Like they're a thing, it is a card that you can activate, but I don't think it's a card that has a lot of impact currently, or previously I should say. Or let's say you're going against Yummy, you can banish one of their stuff from the graveyard, but then they have access to anything that's in their banish zone from the field spells. So like anything that you banish, they can get back in Yummy. Or Radiant Typhoon, you don't really care about banishing their monsters because they play Die Fight, they don't care. Or let's say you want to summon back Crocea and then search Visions in MST, but then you're win locked. So it's like, this is never going to be a card that you want to really draw or search, which is why I wasn't playing it. But I think with Camellia, it does have a bit more value, at least going second in any matchup, because now with Camellia, we have a use for like random non-Sky Striker monsters, whereas before the most you could do was Zeke, and Zeke is cute. It does require a Sky Striker monster at least, and sometimes it just doesn't happen, whereas now you can go second and just get random bodies. So something that I think could come up, like something that I don't think is super uncommon, is you could, let's say, Visions, draw 2, discard 1, I don't know, Upstart so you get a 3rd spell engrave, Widow Anchor, target something, change Shark Cannon, target something in the graveyard. Now you've got 2 monsters, and now you can go Camellia, and that can get you into your engine. Whereas before, that wouldn't be the case, where 2 random non-Sky Striker monsters just wouldn't make any Sky Striker monster unless they were light and dark to go into Azalea. Whereas now, because again, Zeke requires a Sky Striker monster, one of them, but now we have a completely generic Sky Striker monster that we can make and get us back into engine. So I do think that it does give Shark Cannon a bit more value going second. I don't think, I'm not putting it in my list, but I do think that it's worth considering now. Like, it's at least a playable going second card, whereas before it just kind of wasn't. I do think moving into the next format, it gets a little bit better too going second, because you can banish like a Dark Magician of Destruction if your opponent's trying to gaze up Timaeus on your turn. Like, they go first, do all their stuff, set gaze, and then on your turn they try to like gaze, target the Dark Magician of Destruction. You can chain this, target Dark Magician of Destruction, banish it, and now they don't get the Dragoon. That can be useful. Again, if you're playing against Yummy, sometimes you're like hitting like a Snatchy or a not Lollipop, but Cookie at the right time can be somewhat useful. It's complicated. It's not like straight up amazing. Like, there are better cards that you could draw, but it is something that I think now has more value than it did before, thanks to Camellia. So let's see what else I did. Also want your guys' opinion on Gemming Wave and Afterburners. If you guys didn't notice, I cut Afterburners in this version of the deck. I'm curious where you guys are at with them. They're pretty similar cards, but I'm curious what you guys think about them. But the other thing I want to talk about with the new cards is, again, I don't think Camellia does much for pure Sky Strikers. I'm not going to play it in my pure Sky Striker list because I'm not playing Shark Cannon. I just don't think it does anything for us. But I do think it does a lot for the Sky Striker hybrid decks. Because again, now any 2 monsters can get you to Sky Striker engine, right? I think that opens up the floodgates for a lot of shenanigans. And this is what I want to talk about before when I was alluding with Desires and let's see, where are we? Area 0. I think at the end of the day, we all of us who love Sky Strikers, we all love Ray, right? The deck is good, the deck is fun. It's not overpowered, but it's something that is very satisfying to play because it gives you the ability to sort of outplay your opponents, outgrind them. It's just a fun deck to play, but it's not the most consistent. We've all been sort of searching for ways to find the consistency that we need to be able to play the deck that we love. We saw Joshua Schmidt, top of 300, he was playing triple Desires, right? We've seen everything in between. Like he top 300 with triple Desires. I almost topped 300, almost, with 2 Desires. We've seen people play no Desires. For example, was it last year or the year before? National champion Wilfredo Flores. He top 8'd the Florida Kissimmee Florida Regionals with Sky Strikers like a week or 2 ago. He did not play Desires. So we've seen 3 Desires, we've seen 2 Desires, we've seen no Desires. What he played instead of Desires to find that consistency was not only 1 copy of Area 0, which I've talked about in the past, but he played a Terraforming to search it, because once again, you were almost never going to miss with Area 0 if you were playing the requisite number of Sky Striker cards in your deck. And if you combine it with MST, Fallen the Virtuous, Visions to search MST, you can destroy it and get to your engine that way as well. So it is a great consistency card. We're all searching for ways to make this deck more consistent, right? But a new way that we have, a new option, is now with Camellia. So with like Desires, it's like, okay, we draw a card, we draw 2, we get a spell in the grave. Upstarts, we get a card in the grave. With Area 0, we're like accessing 3 cards on top of the deck. Maybe we get engaged. Again, with these, maybe we draw engage. Camellia is the one that guarantees engage. Not only can it guarantee engage, there are certain engines that guarantee that plus exactly 3 spells in graveyard, which is the sweet spot, because if you have too many spells in grave, you can't use Camellia. If you have too few spells in grave, your engage won't get maximum value. And like I said in the last video, engage is the best card in the deck, right? And to maximize engage, it is most powerful with exactly 3 spells in grave and all of your Sky Striker cards in deck. That is maximum value engage. And we want to maximize the best card in the deck, right? Exactly 3 spells so you can get the draw. And all of the Sky Striker cards in deck, so we have the most utility from it. Camellia allows for that, and there are engines that can do it. Now, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is such an expansive game. I'm sure there are more, but these are the 3 engines that came to my mind as ones that really facilitate this best in terms of, like, again, maximizing the engage. Getting 2 monsters on board to make Camellia and exactly 3 spells in the graveyard so that we can get the most off the engage. I've got three engines to show you guys. 3 hybrids. I've got full lists for all of them. If you guys are interested, let me know in the comment section below. I can share these lists at any time. I've been working with them for a couple weeks now, thinking about maybe taking them to some events soon. But the first one is Radiant Typhoon. I need to get a 3rd copy of Chant, but Radiant Typhoon engine. You don't have to play Mandate, but the way this works is, hold up, let me grab my Visions and MST really quick. So we're already playing Visions and MST, so there's already a good amount of synergy here, but the best way to start the combo is with Chant. So it works, you activate Chant. Chant can search, we'll make this the graveyard. Chant can search for Eldum, special summon the Eldum. Eldum search for Swin, special summon Swin. Swin can search for Visions. This is a Sky Striker deck, so we're going to assume that you have another quick play spell in hand, MST, anything. But you activate Visions, draw 2, discard 1. So now you have exactly 3 spells in your graveyard. You link your 2 monsters into Camellia. Camellia can now send Engage to the graveyard because you have 3 or less. You had exactly 3, right? So now we send that to the graveyard. Camellia can go for, or you can link that off into Kagari. Kagari, add back the Engage. Engage can search you for whatever way, whatever method you have of wanting to link up into a 0. There are a couple of options. You could get Rose to do it, have a normal summon, but you could also special summon a Rose from your hand. You've got, where is it? Hornet Drones, and you've got Linkage, but Linkage will obviously lock you into Sky Striker monsters, so depending on the version of deck that you're playing, you might not want to get locked into Sky Strikers yet, but these 3 all work. I think the most interesting is probably the Rose, just to show the option, but you could go, say, Kagari into Amatsu, trigger Rose, summon Rose, and then Rose and Amatsu into 0. 0 can search. Oh, and we should have drawn off that first Engage, by the way. I forgot about that. That was the whole point of getting 3 engraved. But then 0 can search for another. Oops, hit the camera. Stop that. There we go. Search for another Engage, and then Engage can search for whatever else you want, and then you'll get a second draw. Let's say you go for like Limnus Gate. If you go for Limnus Gate, you would already have two spells, and you would have 4 monsters already. If you had any other spell, or if let's say instead of Rose you went for Hornet Drones or Linkage, you would have 3 spells and 3 monsters automatically. So this combo gets you to Limnus Gate, non-target, bounce 2, 0, and 2 draws. That's pretty good. That's pretty good, right? Like, I think that's very, very powerful, and Camellia is what enables that to be. Now, with this engine, let me clean things up a little bit. With this engine, you don't have to play Mandate, but I do want to present it as an option. You definitely want to play a 3rd copy of Chant. I just only have 2. But Chant is the main one because Chant is a spell, so it gets a spell engraved. Eldom and Twin do both get you there, but they don't get you with 3 spells. And so you could play more copies of these if you would like, but they're weaker starters than Chant is, whereas Chant will almost always guarantee 3 spells in the graveyard. But if you look at this, you're playing at least 5 cards. You could be playing more if you're playing more copies of Eldom and Twin, but at least 5 and then 0 bricks. That is very, very valuable in terms of deck building, to be able to add pure starters into your deck. And not just starters, these are starters that maximize Engage. Like, it is better to draw Chant than it is to draw Ray. Because Ray, yeah, sure, with Ray, you could summon Ray, go 0, get engaged, but you don't have the 3 spells engraved. It is better to do it this way. So Chant is better than Ray. These are very powerful starters. And again, 0 bricks. And the only downside is that it can be difficult if your opponent interrupts you with like a monster in your main monster zone. Like, let's say you start with Swing, you summon Swing, and your opponent ashes it. Like, you've got a random thing in your main monster zone. Well, now if you have a hand trap, and to add to everything that I'm saying, actually, Camellia does allow for you to play more hand traps. Because before, there was nothing we could do with like dead hand traps. They're just sitting in hand. But now, if you have a normal summon, more hand traps mean that you could just summon them, make Camellia anyways. And it makes this deck more difficult to really interact with. So, that is definitely an option. So again, we could be playing 5 strong starters, 0 bricks. But if you add Mandate on top of that, now you're playing like, you can get an Omni-Negate on top of everything. Or you can, of course, if we play Mandate when we playing the Link 2 as well, the Vroom. But I think it's just extremely powerful, because you could be ending with, like, I've been playing it in Master Duel, actually. I've been playing Radiant Typhoon Striker in Master Duel, and there are a lot of hands where I'm ending with like 0 Mandate, double MST, Widow Anchor, Limnus Gate. And like, that's 2 Omni Negates, 0 Limnus. Like, that's tough to beat. and it's extremely consistent as well. And you're only adding 1 brick to the deck, and it's not even that bricky because you can discard this off of visions, or you can just, yeah, there's a lot you can do with it. And also, this can shuffle back your Sky Striker cards. So that's a thing as well. So it helps you recycle both engines quite efficiently. So Radiant Typhoon engine, I do think, is a valid way of playing Sky Strikers. And again, these are starters that are better than like your normal Sky Striker starters. Like Camellia enables that. But the next engine that I want to highlight is Mitsurugi. So super similar. You have a bunch of 1-card starters that can get you to not just engage, but engage with 3 spells engrave. Let me show you how to do it. All you need is a prayers, right? So you activate prayers. Prayers get Haba. Activate Haba. Haba can search for, not search, but summon Saji, tribute Saji. Saji can search for your Mitsurugi Ritual. So this is hand, you can activate Mitsurugi Ritual, summon from hand by sending Murakumo to graveyard. So now Haba's on the field. Murakumo effect, it wasn't properly summoned, so you can't summon it back, but you can still activate the effect. Search for Mirror. Activate Mirror to summon from graveyard. Tribute Habakiri, summon back Murakumo. Next, you can trigger the Habakiri effect, summon back, search another copy of prayers. And now once again, you have exactly 3 spells engraved. You have the Mirror, the Ritual, and prayers, right? And let's, if you're going second, you could have wiped your opponent's board and you just have 2 big bodies. Like, Mitsurugi is Mitsurugi. These are good cards, obviously. But now what you could do, same thing, link both of these into Camellia. Camellia, send engage, and same thing. So, oh, and we have prayers. So you could, just to play through it, dump engage, Camellia into, say, Kagari, add back engage, activate engage, Hornet Drones to hand, and then we'll draw a card. Activate Hornet Drones, and Kagari into 0. Trying to go pretty fast for you guys. Get a second engage, activate engage, go for Lemnis Gate, draw another card, and then we've got 0 prayers with Murakumo engraved, plus Lemnis Gate with, let's see, again, we've got, right now we have 3 striker spells and 2 monsters, but once we use Zero's effect, we'll have 3. We could have also just linked it to like Amatsu or anything for free to like load it up anymore if we wanted to. That's fine too. Let's just say we did that. That would be ideal, I guess. But we have Lemnis Gate for 6, prayers, 0, and then we drew 2 cards as well. That's pretty good off of 1 card, right? It's pretty good. So I think the Mitsurugi engine is pretty good for this. Let me clean this up a little bit. And for the Mitsu engine, so with Radiant Typhoon, we had effectively 5 good starters. Really 3 good starters. Chance the best starter. But Swin and Eldon work. But they're 0 bricks. That's, I think, the biggest benefit of the Radiant Typhoon engine. You have 0 bricks. And both Eldon and Swin are extremely easy to summon going first. Very, very flexible, right? The Mitsu engine, you do get more starters. You got 3 prayers. You got Haba. And if you want, you can play pre-prep. Because you can use pre-prep to search Haba and Mirror, and then you have Haba and Mirror. So you have 7 good starters, but you do also have 4 bricks. Like, I think there's just no way to say it, but you don't want to be drawing any of these in like a Sky Striker hand, like 4 Sky Striker cards, and then any one of these is like absolute dog shit. So those kind of suck. Saji you can kind of mess around with because at least it's an effect monster and it's dark. And if you summon it, you get search something and then kind of play from, like, at least Saji's like playable. But these are like hard bricks to where they just do absolutely nothing. But on the other hand, you have 7 starters and Mitsurugi cards, which are in general quite good. and prayers to back up your inboard, which is very strong as well. So I think there's an argument for this. And going second, it's very good as well. So going first, we've seen what it does. Going second, you have the Murakuma board wipe. So just sort of comparing them. Like Radiant Typhoon, you have less starters, no bricks, not as good going second, because you're not going to be able to special summon Eldom and Twin half the time. So not as good going second, but no bricks. This has more starters, but more bricks, but is also better going second. I don't know. I like both. I've built both decks before. I've built Radiant Typhoon Sky Strikers. I've built Mitsurugi Sky Strikers. I think both are good. But what I think is also quite interesting right now is an Azamina build of Sky Striker. So I'll show you guys what we can do with just a single copy of Wanted. This is Azamina with like Dark Magician of Destruction. This is what we can do with just a single copy of Wanted. So you can activate Wanted. Wanted can search for a Diabell Star. Summon Diabell Star by sending something from your hand to the graveyard. You're gonna have 4 other cards. And I guess that's the downside of this versus the others, is this actually requires another card for you to send to the graveyard. But in a vacuum, this is what it is. Diabell Star effect. Go for a Deception of the Sinful Spoils. Man, I had to dust these off since the old Snake Eye days, but activate Deception. Next, we want to banish the Witch to summon Dark Magician of Destruction, which I do not have, and we'll need to proxy with hold on. Give me a second. Hold on. Never mind, whatever. Spectre can be the proxy. This is Dark Magician of Destruction. Let's flip it over at least. I'll put it on the screen. Dark Magician of Destruction. On summon, Dark Magician of Destruction is going to allow you to search a card that has Dark Magician in its text. And for that, we can search a copy of Magician Souls, right? So this is in hand. These are on board. Activate the Deceptions effect. Tribute the Dark Magician of Destruction and search a Azamina card. Activate Azamina, Hallowed Azamina. Go into Mu Arcielago. Mu Arcielago can search an Azamina or a Sinful Spoils spell or trap. Here you can search either Wanted or Deception. It doesn't really matter. You just want any Sinful Spoils card. It's not. This is graveyard. And this is hand. Next, we can summon out the souls by sending another Diabell Star to the graveyard. And now if you look, we have 2 effect monsters on the field, and we have exactly 3 spells in graveyard. But that's not it. So depending on your hand, you can activate the Soul's effect to discard 2 maybe, and then draw 2. It just depends on your hand and how you want to do it, but you do have that option. So that's 2 cards that you can draw right there. Keep that in mind. We don't have a hand right now except for this, but if you did, and you had cards that were sort of dead or less desirable, like let's say you had, I don't know, a Thrust in your hand. Your opponent hasn't hand trapped you yet. They're probably not going to hand trap you. You could discard it for souls and then get a draw. Just depending on how you built your deck and what is in your hand, that's an option. Or if it's games 2 and 3, it can just allow you to dig for better non-engine. So that's an option. Keep that in mind. You could have drawn 2 here. But now from here, we can link both of these into Camellia. Because again, we have exactly 3 spells engraved. Cool. So Camellia can send Engage to the graveyard. Let's go Amatsu and Kagari. Add back the Engage. Here, Engage can go for Hornet Drones, and we will draw. Activate the Hornet Drones. Go into 0. Get another Engage. Engage for a Limnus Gate. And we get another draw. Now what we can do is activate Hallowed Azamina's effect in graveyard. we can add the Muertos back to the extra deck to add itself back to hand. And now you can activate Hallowed Azamina. This would have been better if we did Deception, because Deception we could have activated on board and then, depending on the game state, reset at the end of the turn if we wanted to, but this puts another on it in the graveyard. It doesn't really matter in this case, but just something to keep in mind. But we can activate the Hallowed Azamina, using that to go into L26D. Now we can use Wanted's Graveyard effect to banish itself and put Deception on bottom of the deck to draw another card. And so on this end board we have 0 L26D, we have Limnus Gate that is set up. You're gonna have at least 3 spells and 3 monsters, so Limnus Gate for 6 is already set up. We've got Omni Negate, 0, and then we drew at least 3 cards. And if we use the Magician Souls, we could have drawn up to 2 more. So you could have potentially drawn 5 cards in this combo. So it is guaranteed engage, plus an Omni Negate, plus draw 5, plus set up Limnus Gate. That's kind of crazy, not gonna lie. Draw 5 is wild. Like, all of these combos draw 2, but this is draw 5 maybe. It's at least draw 3. Like, let's say your hand is pretty cracked already, you don't want to use Magician Souls, fine. Draw 3, cool. You're still getting 1 more card than every other option I've shown so far. But then on top of that, once again, let me clean all this up just to show you guys options for engine. Let's see, hold on. So what you could do, depending on how you build your deck, you could play if you wanted, let me see if I can fit everything in the frame, you could play 9 starters. And the only brick is Hallowed Azamina. Now, Souls is questionable. Souls is, I don't even want to call it a brick because it's a free special summon and it can draw you into more cards. And so this could, I don't want to call it a starter, but it's not, it's somewhere between a brick and a starter. It's an extender maybe, I guess you could call it. Sort of. But you do have to play this. So really 1 brick, 1 hard brick, 1 flex spot, and then you have to play Muertos and L26D in the extra deck. You don't necessarily have to play Muertos, but if you don't play it, then Diabell Star on its own isn't a starter, because you would have to, you would need another way, or at least it's not as good of a starter, because you would need another way to get to another Sinful Spoils card that you can use to resolve the Hallowed Azamina the 2nd time. Versus if you didn't, you can only summon L26D the 1st time, but then it would be blocking your main monster zone, which would make it kind of tricky to like go into your place. Like, you wouldn't be ending on 0 plus L26D without Muertos. So I think you do need to play it if you play this package. So you have less extra deck space, but you do have room for more starters, and you don't really play that many bricks. So depending on how you wanted to build your deck, it's a valid option. And if we kind of compare, once again, I said that we have like kind of 3 flex spots in the deck normally. Like, we had the like SP, Typhon, and Kaina. Well, we only have two things we need to add to the deck really. So there's space. And then if we look at the main deck of my current build, at least for deck building requirements, so you got Visions, Upstart, and Desires. Like, these are cards that are like, maybe hopefully we draw Engage, but what if they were like guaranteed engages? That would be kind of crazy, right? So there's space. There's definitely space. So these are just 3 engines that I think are options that we could play moving forward with Camellia. Again, I don't think Camellia does as much for pure Sky Strikers. I just don't think it's very viable for us to even make it. just summoning wise, like it's difficult to make. But I think for hybrid decks and for non-striker decks, like even things that just want to access Hornet Drones, like Camellia on its own can get you the full Yummy combo because you can send Hornet Drones or engage. Kagari added back Hornet Drones, and then Hornet Drones plus Kagari is, you can make Cup C Yummy way and then search your Yummy cards and do all that kind of shenanigans. Like, what Camellia enables is incredible. I just think it'll be interesting to see what we do with it going forward and what other decks do with it going forward. But let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you think there are any other engines that can utilize Camellia that I'm missing. I'm sure there are more. I'd love to know what they are. These are just the ones that like kind of came to mind because they're already like relatively meta relevant. Like it's like I already had like most of a Radiant Typhoon core sitting around. I already had Mitsurugi's cards sitting around. I had to dig out the Azamina stuff, but like everyone's digging those out for DMOC anyways, or DMOD. So sure. But let me know what else you guys have. I'm sure there's like some hidden archetype with even better synergy, I'm sure. Let me know what it is, or maybe it's combining all of them together. I've definitely played around with like a Sky Striker slop deck as well, because like you could honestly just play all of them in like a 60 card deck and just have like 21 card starters and then like, I don't know, more hand traps and stuff. It would be cool. It's cool. But I think the other interesting thing is how we deal with this new format as well. Like, again, Maze of Muertos, Legendary Modern decks, the big additions are the Dark Magician cards, Dark Magician of Destruction, Gaze of Tamai. So like the reintroduction of Dragoons into the format, I do think is going to be big. I think seeing what Radiant Typhoon does with it as well can be big, because Wanted is a quick play spell, so there's a lot of synergies with that deck. I'm seeing a lot of hype around like Radiant Typhoon, Dark Magician of Destruction decks, and we see the Yummy DMOD decks. Those are insane because again, with Camellia, it can bridge to Yummy. So how we deal with those decks and then how the format sort of warps around that as well, I think will be very interesting in the coming weeks. I think we're gonna see more of those decks. We're gonna see more hand traps or different hand traps. Like if more people play Nibiru, right? That'd be fine for pure strikers, right? Because we don't really care about Nib. But if let's say we're playing, I don't know, Radiant Typhoon strikers, we had to summon quite a few times to get through that combo. So opening us up to Nib would be kind of a real deal. However, with Camellia, we can actually deal with like Nib token. Well, no, we can't deal with Nib token. But the Nib token is light, so we can use it to make like Azalea, but we can't use it to make Camellia because Camellia requires effect monsters. Okay, yeah, so Nib's still a problem, but like, are we going to see other hand traps? Are we going to see more Drolls in the main deck? Whereas previously, we wouldn't see a lot of main deck Droll because it didn't do much against Draco Tail. But now, you know, it might be a thing. So do we need to prepare for that more? Like, it'll be interesting to again, just see how the format changes with these new updates being Dark Magician of Destruction, Camellia, and the new hybrid decks that are be experimented with as a result of that. But let me know what you guys think about this upcoming format. Let me know what you think about like the list that I'm playing, my build. What do you think about the hybrid decks and which one you think might be best? Maybe combine them all together. Let me know what you guys think about the new Link monsters that we have: Camellia, Striker, Spectra, Maneuver, Engage, Zero. Yeah, let me know what you guys think about these and if you're going to be playing them. If so, how do you make room for them in the extra deck? Also, in terms of the extra deck, are you playing 3 copies of like things to send off of your 3? Following the Virtuouses? What are you cutting? I'm super interested just to see what you guys think about Sky Strikers now and moving forward. So I hope you guys enjoyed this week's Sky Striker Yap session. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, tips, tricks, suggestions, or anything else like that, let me know down in the comments section below. Not just me, but everybody else in the community. Also, if you guys have been playing Striker yourselves and you're like, you've topped a regional or even your locals or anything like that, I'd love to highlight some of your list on the channel as well. Give you guys a spotlight in the Sky Striker community. So definitely let me know if you have. I'd love to feature you. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.